Hello, everybody, and welcome to the April 6th or 7th SIG Architecture Conformance subgroup meeting. And Clayton and Rion and Stephen and I are all know each other. We know the code of conduct that we all adhere to, and we always treat each other kindly. If not, let me know, or let somebody and the chairs of the SIG Architecture know. We have an agenda today, and I'll pull that up via our screen share. That is the one that says start page. Try to switch tabs to the other. Make sure the meeting is on its share the screen again. Our conformance meeting, that looks like that's it. And pardon me if I'm running. Rion's got load shedding going on right now, which means they turn the power off for periods of time. And so he's only on via phone and can't leave the meeting today. But our first item up on the agenda is the discussion on blocking conformance changes. We had some patches get applied to some tests that changed conformance metadata, which is something after a release we never want to happen, because we have defined that release once it's out the door conformance wise. And we had ran into some really not so lovely things. So the initial PR, this is the commit that went in, and here's the PR. If you go back to see the initial PR, the Slack discussion, if you want to go, we click on this link here to go to that Slack discussion. But as far as our discussion points, it looked like the right thing to do. But if we go back and look, and all it did was add these repos. And what was great was Nikita not only updated the configuration here, she also updated the blockade plugin so that it would support branch regular expressions. So any branch that has release star in it would not work. However, we were hitting a nil pointer in our hook blocking pre-submits. So I wonder if we need to wait until the next release is done before we pick it up. I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget this, because it did cause an unknown number of people to fail conformance for a while as the tooling, because the tool chain takes a bit to update all the way through to when our friends over at VMware with the Sonovoy picks up, because it compiles in the binary from the EDE thing from the release, which doesn't match the metadata that we pull currently to validate them from. So I think we may have lost Rian. And you may not have any feedback on this, Clayton, but it's yeah, so we'll just go ahead and skip that. If you see something that's not of interest to you, we can skip forward. You are our sole audience today.
It's kind of like the audience of one. It puts
we
too much
have one
pressure
PR that we believe is ready for merge. I'm not sure where we stand with code freeze, but as soon as the thaw has melted, this is our V1 daemon set status test. And this is the PR itself. Let's click over to the changes. Rian, did you get power back on? I see lights.
Yes, I am in power now.
This is it's a longer test, so it may take a bit of time to walk through, but that's one of the reasons we're here, to go ahead and catch these as we go from issue describing what we're going to do to this final portion where we're submitting it as a PR. Is this an area that you have any authority or expertise in, Clayton?
Yeah, let me take a look.
Okay.
Actually, looking at this test, this is the one that I did based off what I did for service status, and it's a similar technique that had been used for the API service test that we talked about last conformance meeting. And actually, I do refer to another test a little bit later in the meeting that's going to refer back to this code base. And this is actually all working well. So it goes through, does the get, replace, and patch for daemon set. And of course, it's using watches to double check that we've got appropriate confirmation of the events.
Yeah, I don't see anything concerning in this for sure. So, I mean, really, we're just waiting for approval. Was there an open question I missed? Sorry.
No, it was more around that this was just the style that I've sort of like been doing for a lot of the status endpoints. So it's more when we look at another PR later that I'm currently having issues to do with patching. That would be good to get some feedback on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this in the other one that we talked about last time. So, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the style or the approach. I think we discussed it elsewhere.
Cool. That's cool.
Now we'll show you one where it's broken. Oh, it's
a little bit later.
Rian, are you confident that you have the support of the right people for this PR to get the approval and the LGTMs? Or do you want me to step in and advocate?
Yes, you can advocate, please. I have not pushed it yet because we're lost. When we created it, we're so far away from cutting the release. But I think now,
yeah, I think thaw is this week or next week.
Time.
So the next one is a daemon set. Next week. Okay, so daemon set list and delete collection test. This next one. Open link. This one is interesting in that we can see these two extra endpoints that we're hoping to hit, and we go through our approach, but someone else wrote a PR for it, which is great. We like it when that stuff gets written. I think they did a different approach, and so we kind of want to look between these two and decide which approach do we want between them. However, Rian and Stephen ran this, and as far as when we run this test, we don't see it hitting these extra endpoints, even though it says.
Oh, it's more around at the moment when it tries to do the delete part of the test, it's actually got a bit of a logic issue, and it's failing the test. It times out after 5 minutes. So he's had some feedback from Amushi already on the test, and some of the guys from SIG Apps have weighed in a little bit already on the test. So Rian's already just posted about the bug.
And we let him know of the meeting, so he could have, depending on his time zone.
Yeah, he's in China, yeah. the person who's writing this test.
We might try to reach out and see if he wants some help running the tooling, so we can actually, within his dev environment, ensure that he knows how to hit those endpoints if they show up. I wonder, is there anything popping out within the code base that make it where why he wouldn't be hitting those endpoints? It's a real short test. There's the wait for daemon set deleted.
Yeah, I think it's
just going to be in this.
My check this morning shows it actually hitting the endpoints.
Oh, it does.
It does hit the list and delete, but of course it fails on the delete because it's using is trying to wait and using a wait daemon set deleted function, and there's 197.
Yeah, that was a function down.
And that function looks like it doesn't actually have a true state in the return. So it's always going to time out because there's no way for it to come back true from the way I'm reading it.
What would the logic be? Would be if.
But the other thing too is that I thought that that's actually just waiting for it and the delete should have happened. But when I ran it on my cluster, it was not actually doing the delete, even though it's got the label selected there. It just seemed a bit weird what was happening at that point. But I've only given it probably about 5-10 minutes check so far.
And we haven't written a test for this, a PR for it yet, but this is the first PR.
Yeah, and I mean, it's entirely possible that there's something wrong with delete collection, but that wouldn't be my first guess. In the wait, did he update it? Because it looks like in the wait, there's the return true if the API errors is not found.
On 182.
182.
Yeah, 182.
Oh, sorry.
If there are no errors.
If there's no errors, sorry, I didn't see that return.
Which, I mean, it's possible. I didn't see how the test was failing, but
basically the test times out because the initial call for it's got a timeout of 5 minutes, and it never actually gets to return true. So then it fails at 5 minutes.
Yeah, I wonder if there's I mean, it's possible that label selection David said's deleted. That'd be a great bug find, but I don't know. We'd have to see someone test it. Might just want to test it directly, see if that works.
There is actually, if you go to the issue EP, there's a link to a test that we wrote, which actually the issue is based on. And that test successfully hit both endpoints, and it actually
Let me go back.
managed to do the
This
delete
guy
collection.
here. I was not familiar with it. There we go. This is our issue, and our issue contains 8 tests.
Sorry, if we go to the
new
Ginkgo
Ginkgo test. Oh,
test.
that's a new way to do it.
There's
Okay.
a,
It was
a hyperlink inside. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ginkgo
it's-
test.
This just doesn't have a PR for it yet, but this is the I'll drop that into.
This is just on a branch to make use of
I
the rest of the things that's inside the test.
Clayton, I dropped a link in the chat.
Yeah, so both me and Rian started the initial part, and I came along and just did a few extra checks, and it is both hitting a list, and also it goes through the process of actually doing the delete based on how we've been doing our watch checks, which is
Yeah,
a
I mean,
little
yours
different.
looks more correct to me in that if delete collection is blocked, well, you're using grace period 0. That's the grace period 0 is kind of weird, and that is a different type of call. So if you didn't have grace period 0 there, which is probably more normal, unless the test is specifically about deleting grace period 0, I would not expect that to be in that on 29.
I had a test about a year ago that was looking at deleting a whole of pods, and Jordan basically decided or came back with some feedback around waiting for the default 30 seconds wasn't really appropriate, and he since then I've been actually changing the grace period to actually saying so let's just delete it straight away.
We should never do this. Like, this should not be in test. So Jordan is wrong in this case. The way to fix this is actually new daemon set label. When you run an image, you can set a shorter grace period on the pod. That's what we should do. And you should not be specifying grace period 0 in these tests. Like, grace period 0 is like, should never be used. We should have tests for it. It's not a conformance thing, and it's not testing the normal behavior. It's testing weird behavior. Grace period 0 is like especially on pods. So what I would probably say is in this example that you guys sent on line 98, on 98, you should set termination grace period to 1 second here on the pod, which means that the calls will all finish in a second or two. And so that's, and we should go remove grace period 0 from all of the calls and replace it with, like basically the difference is when you say delete and don't wait, you're bypassing the whole code path in the controllers and the kubelet that handles normal deletion. In some cases that might be okay, but it's abnormal and it's not our normal behavior. I don't want to see conformance tests using 0. They should just have containers that have short termination periods. And when you set that on the pod, then, and you say delete, it'll take a second or 2. It's much faster.
Okay.
Okay.
It was
Yeah,
just,
I wish I'd caught that when Jordan said it, because I definitely would have gone the other way then. I would have saved some time later.
Yeah, it was
Like,
more.
where was the other place that it set? I commented on 829, but then you said another one earlier where we.
I'm going to comment. Oh, I can't comment on this. Let me paste this link back. So inside your new, hold on. So here, inside at that link.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just you would just add inside the pod spec, set termination grace period seconds 1. And when you do that, basically it's like setting a very short grace period, but happens on the pod. The kubelet does all the work for you, but you're going through the normal deletion process and you're not triggering that at normal flow. Because and it would probably just be great. Like, just go review all the places, tag me on something that's doing grace period 0, and we'll like all of them that you're creating pods. This approach, once you get it, once you have the right syntax and all that, this approach solves it for everybody. We do that in other tests.
Okay. That's cool. It's just, again, once seeing a technique used in one part to solve particular issues around the test timeout, the length of a test being taken, and just trying to pick up other techniques that have been provided. So, yep.
Thank you for loaning us your brand.
Very cool. Thank you.
Open link for this other one that we are patching. This is the one you were saying that we're trying the same thing we've done before, and now we're failing.
Yeah. So basically, when I try to do for replica set, what I've been doing for all the other status endpoints, it works for get and for replace. But as soon as I try, if we just scroll up a little bit further, so as the test goes through, it works okay for doing get and replace. But as soon as it tries to do the patch, basically it starts complaining, and we've got the full stack trace a little bit further down. And I am somewhat confused about the fact that I've only just told it, hey, I'd like the condition status to be something different. I haven't told it to change anything in the spec at all.
Yeah. Where's your code? Where's the example of the code that you have? Is it linked?
Oh, no. Sorry. If we go a bit further up for the Ginkgo test.
All right. Grab, what are they? Is this it?
Yeah.
Drop this in the link. We should probably go ahead and create PRs for these.
If we just scroll down, it's the after the watch. Yeah, down the very bottom is where I'm just patching the condition type and the status by leaving those two exactly the same as what I've done on the other tests. They've all passed. And yet it's either there is something that the replica set is either tripping up on when I'm changing the patch, or what is getting tripped up here should be happening elsewhere. I don't know.
You should, have you printed out what the patch that's being sent is? So like online, like after this chunk, so where you're patching the status, are you printing out the actual patch that you're sending to the server? Yeah. Go ahead and print it out. What's going to probably happen is, I bet you, you're marshaling a struct here. And I bet you the 0 values of all of the fields that are under replica set status that are not conditioned are also getting set. So even though you didn't intend to change those fields, I bet when you look at what payload, if you print out payload, it's going to show you, you said it's going to say like replica set status, and then inside there's going to be a whole bunch of ready replica 0, blah, 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 0, blah, blah. So it's basically this method of serializing a patch. It's probably going to be easier if you write the JSON directly, since it's a very static patch. And it's, you know, it's going to look like the JSON struct of whatever this is. But the difference is when you serialize a Go struct, you depend on the default behavior of the other fields. So if they don't have omit empty, they're going to be included. It's just easier to usually write the patch. Another option, and so this is the other one, which is there is a function that we have in a couple of places. I don't know if it's in Cube Control. It might be in the test libraries. You can generate 2 structs. So you do one struct that's just empty replica set status. And then you do a second struct, which is has your condition in it. And then you can get it to calculate the diff. We use that in Cube Control in a couple places, but it may not be shared code, so you may not be able to access it. That code actually goes and says, oh, well, you know, it's 0 in this first one, it's 0 in the second one. I don't need to set it. And it only takes the changed fields. That's what we use to generate patches for a few things. Let me see if I can actually find it real quick, sorry.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I tried to hunt it, and I found a reference about the valid. I tracked the error to validation check, but yeah, I was just going around in circles a bit.
Sec, let me find what I'm looking for.
As a quick time check for you, Clayton, it is 25 minutes after the hour.
Oh, okay. So much bad code. I found one for strategic patch, but I don't think we want to use that. It's okay. So what you can actually do, are you guys, what kind of patch are you sending right now? Merge patch? Yeah, it's merge patch. One sec. Okay. No, JSON patch is the one that has it. Man. This code. I'm gonna find it in a minute. Okay, so this is super ugly, and you're gonna want to do something slightly different. I'm gonna paste this in the chat. So this code's not the right code. You don't need this whole crazy complex bit. What you're trying to do is you just want to take the basic struct,
Where'd you paste?
And
It's just paste it in the chat.
That's
it's
me.
not pasting.
Oh, is it? Oh,
I don't know why it's not pasting.
All right.
Okay, let's do what
Slack.
channel are we in? I'm going to do the conformance channel.
Yeah, sounds good.
I mean, this is in Kate's conformance. So this is from the editor. It's not perfect, but instead of doing roughly, you're going to be doing something like that. Do you guys see this?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so the first one, just create like the empty struct. So like the first one, let me update these in line. So JSON.Marshall. The name is AppSkey one replica set. So the first one you're gonna you do something like this. So the first one, you're basically marshaling the empty one. That would be your original JS. And then you take your patch here and marshal it, and that's your changed JS. And then call create merge patch from old to new. What that'll do is all the equal things get stripped out. So that'll handle this. And then you can use that elsewhere, which is all the places you're calculating patches. You could do this. You could, and I'm not saying this is like what you should do, but like there probably should be a helper for creating merge patches like this in the test code at least. So you could just say, given two interfaces, like a function takes two interfaces and gives you a merge patch.
Yeah.
And then you give it the base, you just pass in an object, JSON marshal it, pass in a second object, JSON marshal it, call that method, gives you back a merge patch. That would be a quick and dirty thing that you could use in all the tests to generate all your patches, and would it would prevent this issue in the future.
Cool. Probably just go into the E2E framework.
Yeah, I create a new package for it. Probably like I would say don't stick stuff in general packages. Just be like test util patch or something. If there isn't, there probably is a patch folder. Let's see. Test EDE. Test. Oh, I'm in the wrong. Yeah, so just like test util patch or something. And it's like create, quick and dirty, simple merge patch or something, just to help in your code. We shouldn't. I wouldn't want to put it in a standard place. It's really just for tests, and the JSON marshal is not perfectly correct, but it's fine for the sake of what we're doing here.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yes. Thank you for your time. And
no problem. Sorry to leave y'all a little early.
That's okay. Very valuable time. Enjoy your week.
Thanks.
In a few weeks.
Appreciate it.
Ciao. Bye.
All right.
Do we stop the recording?
No. Yay.
Oh, that was some very helpful feedback.
It's always been good.
Yes, some very cool feedback.
Mm-hmm.